Welcome to Fierce and Fearless, the go-to podcast for the modern unstoppable woman. We are your hosts, and I'm Sonali Singh, a fitness enthusiast, a fierce entrepreneur, and the founder of Feed Smart.
And I'm Zoe Modgill, your guide to all things fitness, nutrition, and beyond, encouraging strength in every aspect of life.
Together, we're here to explore the world and the spectrum of womanhood, motherhood, careers, fitness, nutrition, and even mental health.
We're here not just to share insights, but to debunk myths and offer tangible tips that empower you to lead a life that's both dynamic and balanced.
So get ready to explore new perspectives.
Let's dive in.
Hi guys, welcome back to Fierce and Fearless, episode 11. Today we are talking about dads on duty, empowering partners and sharing the childcare load. I'm just going to say straight up that I've got a lot of fire adding to this conversation coming from this end. And I think that it's going to be quite a dynamic conversation between Sonali and I, because I think we are really going to delve deep into our own personal opinions and experiences on this topic and what we really think about these men in our lives.
Yes, Zoe. Hi, everyone. Sonali here, your co-host. And today we're really going to flip the script, right? We're going to shine the spotlight on the superheroes, quote unquote. And on the behind the scenes, yes, it's all about the dads, right? Who are they? What are they? What should they be? And just partners and sharing the childcare load, because I think it's a touchy topic, no doubt. We've obviously tried not to go all in and keep a balance based on what people think, what have been our personal experiences and circumstances as well for fathers to step up and do their bit. So go for it.
As I said, this is a fiery angle from my side. And when Sonali and I just were discussing this earlier, I was like, I have so much that I feel like I want to angle. But I think that it's fair that we do this in a roundabout way where we also offer insight into the situations of like maybe some of the challenges that fathers do face. After, of course, we set the experience in terms of what we've actually been through and what we're actually seeing. And then also just, I think they'll be useful. I think that we put out ways that women and men can actually come together as parents and do it together. I think that is one of the most important things that I definitely want to bring to this entire conversation today. And that leads me on to the first little bit the area that we are setting the scene with. Is that the truth is, and actually there are a lot of facts that show, despite what people might tell you, that fathers who are involved from early on will show a huge difference in terms of what their children's lives are, particularly right after birth. And that also actually will mean that their increased participation in what they do in the daily activities revolving around not only child, but the mom as well. And I think that is a really important thing to bring in here.
Yeah, I have something to say there actually, and it makes a big difference because your father's involvement from the very beginning shapes your own belief system on equality between two people raising or building a family. And Absolutely. It's really more, I think for a girl, it's a huge one because your father is the first relationship that you have with someone who's not female, right? So that relationship sets the tone, sets the expectation. That's what I keep sending my husband on Instagram. That's why I know this. That here, this is why you need to be more involved. Yeah. He's still very involved, but I still send that. But there's enough research now to say that the girls have a much more healthier relationship with the opposite sex just based on a healthy relationship with their father, right? Because that sets the tone. That's the first time you're interacting with someone who looks like not a similar anatomy or not someone like you.
Yeah, I don't know whether you have been like just noticing this or feel this, is that growing up, we are really shown and directed in certain directions based on all of this exposure that we have, not only with what we see with how families are amongst us when we grow up with other families, we see how kids respond to their parents. And then we watch movies. Like right now, I'm thinking of Sound of Music and just how parents are like involved and then the role that they play and the respect. It's very streamlined in two different directions. And now today that I'm like in the midst of it, like I'm bringing up two boys, taking decisions, like actively being involved. We're at home. People are trying to make a living, make time for themselves, be at peace with this, that, the other. There's so much I feel that has come to the forefront in terms of the responsibilities. And not having another person to fall back on and really thinking that you have to do it all, I feel like is just unfair as a scenario, because the amount of the decision making that comes with raising a child, it is like an every minute decision making situation. You are always torn between this or that for every moment of every day. When I was just thinking, like, when does already it's starting to change for Zai, who's now turning 3. My decisions are a little bit less, but for Zain, they are like minute on minute, like what is happening, what is the where, things like that. And I feel like sometimes it'd be interesting to bring in over here about some of the amazing excuses that I have actually seen with other families or other couples, like when you're like out and about. I think one of the best things to do, and I used to do this when I was, not a parent and not even married, is like I would love to watch people in scenarios in restaurants and cafes and just see how they actually interact. Very bizarre time pass. I used to love watching it. And now I find myself, even when I'm out and I'm like dealing in the moment, which is treated always with children, I'll be watching other tables and I'll be watching like moms like holding, breastfeeding, trying to eat their own food, do all sorts of stuff. And the father's just nicely having a cup of tea, sitting across there. There's those scenarios.
Oh my God.
There's scenarios where they're like standing up, the baby's jumping around because he just doesn't want to sit still and they're trying to stand up and eat. And I'm saying this from having done some of this myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a lot of people will be like, oh, there's some like as a joke sometimes, and maybe not always as a joke, but Varun will be like, oh, I'm just not good at this. Or the baby really just prefers you right now. I feel like you were saying this, right? You can back me up on that particular quote, right?
I've been in the eating scenario too many times, way too many times. But I also, and the thing was that she just always came to me and not to Yadu. And he's like, yeah, she just prefers you. That is obvious, but that's what you need to change. That's what we need to work towards. Let's talk about the fact that they're like, oh, we might hurt the baby. We don't know how to do this.
Yeah. I love it. Because having had a C-section, you're actually quite immobile in all ways the moment you've had the baby, right? And you're like in the room. And I remember, even though it wasn't immediate for me, where Zai or Zain came to me, they came actually like the next day or a few days later. And I remember lying there on the bed, like quite like watching, and I was watching Varun change Zai's nappy like for the first time. And I was like, it was quite a proud moment, but at the same time, I remember him like staring down at Zai and being like, this is like how this has to be. But I don't know if that even is something that is expected of fathers in a lot of families, and especially here in India for sure. It's like something that people are it's worthy of catching on an Instagram story if their husband is like changing the nappy. Like you're just like, you see it come up, oh wow, like this is happening. So it's not like something that is expected maybe. Is that what you think, that like in over here?
Yeah, it's not the norm, but that norm is changing. At least Yadu was extremely, I think they also, husbands, fathers like to pick, right? So for him, nappy changing was great. He loved it, right? He was very into making sure that was really done in a certain way. He researched every single nappy brand to make sure she didn't get the rash.
I love that. I love that.
He was like, okay, coconut oil versus the X versus the Y. But food was never his thing. He's like, oh, you are the food master, so you got to take over that. Which is also fine. I think a bit of talking helps us, to parents interacting who are in it the first time, because it is scary for both. And interacting and seeing what it's about and what you like to do, what you know. But the norm is still the mother taking on the role. There is that slow change that is coming. And it's nice to see that as well. I think the change is also coming with the fact that a lot more women are working.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have a choice. You have to co-parent. From I might hurt the baby, or I'll do the next one, right? Oh, you're so much better at calming them down, love. Why don't you take this on? I love it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
True. I think it's interesting that, you brought up the idea of that, how I think that it is evolving. And you also mentioned how you send these videos to Yadu when you see something about that's happening. I think this Instagram situation or this media where we can actually see parents abroad where they're like doing things together. Some of these families have no nanny, daycare, and they have like 6 children. And they're just like rotating between them. I think it also comes to do with, and I'm not going to lie, is that abroad, they're very much about making their children self-sufficient from a very early age.
Yeah.
Here in India, that's another topic that I think we might have, discussed on here and there, and we can in the future. But the fact about teaching them like how to do things for themselves, carry their own things, like change their own shoes, like whatever. There are very small things it might seem, but in fact, it's empowering them and they all help one another in the family. the kids.
Yeah.
And not because the parents are not there, which is unfortunate case in a lot of situations in some families, but it's also because they genuinely know how to do it and they can take care of themselves in certain situations, which is quite interesting. But I think that the exposure that we are having now, where we're watching like couples do things together, be there, oh, it's his turn, her turn, my hour to get my workout in, for instance. I've gone to the gym, I've come back, kids are with the dad. Like there's this kind of like role play exchange which happens, which I think is really nice because, and also I think it's really important to mention about this paternity leave situation that they have abroad.
Yeah.
Where fathers are given time
3
to
months,
actually,
yeah.
which
It's
is
equal.
insanely cool. I like that idea a lot. It doesn't exist when you work for yourself, mind you.
There's a lot of lobby around it because women think that women should still get 6 months because there's also a sense of body recovery. But the US law is that 3 months and 3 months because then both the parents get 3 months, which is again up for conversation and deliberation because I do think women need 6 months. I don't even know where my 6 months went. But I do think that should also get 3 months. Because the first 3 months, you both need to be in it. It's crazy. I remember when I was in the first 3 months, there was a family wedding and I couldn't go for it. And Yadu went. And I made him feel like shit. I know that we spoke about it. I know that he said that, listen, babe, I got to go with this. And he was very sweet. He was very nice. But I still had to make him feel that I'm sitting here like a beach whale, cannot move, breastfeeding with my tits out. But you are going and partying, okay?
Yeah. True.
He said, if I had breasts, I would do the breastfeeding, Sonali. I said, okay. Fine.
Convenient answer there again, one that we have no control over at all.
So the role is evolving and it takes a year to figure it out. Like we have now built that role play well between us. Like we have that synchrony. He does this, I do that. And things move in a certain manner because it's taken a bit of friction. We went through our own ups and downs, but you got to establish that. And actually this idea of kids doing it on their own, this is probably a topic that we should do because there is so much research now on how important it is to get your kids to start doing things at a younger age, right? What it does to that. And I'm living in the whole very nanny culture where the children don't do half the things because there is someone to do it for them.
I spend my whole day instructing the nannies that they're not allowed to do this, not allowed to do that for them. They must get their own shoes. They must put their own toys back. They must do this, helping. And their faces also are so shocked. Nahi, bhari hoga. I'm like, it's a ball he's carrying, his own ball. It's not going to be heavy to carry his ball. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that.
Setting those limits are also really important. There was a point where I used to eat and Shivaya would just not let me eat. But I had to just let her sit there and cry and cry. And I said, I am not moving till I don't finish my food. And you cannot expect me to move I need to enjoy my 20 minutes of enjoying my food in a certain manner. And then Yadu's looking at me. Yadu's looking at me and I said, dude, I can't. If I do this and my whole time I'll be eating with a child in my hand. Women also to a certain level need to step up. We're also very selfless and we give in to every whim and cry. And as a mom, we get very sensitive.
It's interesting that you said also bringing this up because I actually saw this article very recently about the physical, it's proven now, the studies that our brain actually completely changes as we become moms. Like we are
100%.
Like the whole, like actually the layout of our brain has actually physically changed from what we were prior. Yes. So the areas like literally in our brain have changed and enlarged to make time, like it is more of us being about emotion, about connectivity for the child, being less aware about things around us, but more focused on what the child needs. Our brain actually changes according to that, which again does not mean that husbands have less of a role. It means actually that they should be, if anything, more in support of the mother, actually, like helping the mother to do things that she needs or wants or making it easier for her. The fact that in many cases now, at least in my experience, like having work from home has been fabulous. I always used to be like watching so many husbands leave in the morning and come back at night. No relationship with the mother and no relationship with the child. Like, how do you develop that in the 1 hour time that you can give in the evening? Or early morning where it's like rush, shove breakfast in, shove lunch, get out the door. Again, this is like a scenario we've been so used to seeing in movies and TV shows. It's such a game changer when they now work from home. But with that comes a lot of expectation now more where I'll just be like, oh, you can do this, or you can do that. Then because they're there, like their presence is felt in the house.
Obviously,
you feel like,
They should,
that you want to
right?
get
I
them.
mean,
Yeah, they should. Exactly. But can they?
I mean,
Because it'll be like, can they multitask? Probably, or women are so much better at multitasking is the answer you're always given.
yeah, and I've gotten that a lot. And it's interesting because he said, Sonali, you can work on something, go, I don't know, take the child, let Shivaya go to the loo, change her, this and that, come back and be right into where you were and pick
Yeah.
up right from there, right?
Yeah.
I said, I don't have a choice, you
Yeah,
know?
who's going to do it then?
Yeah, he's like, I can't do that. He's like, if I leave what I'm doing, if I'm writing a document or if I'm deep into an email or a certain amount of work, he's like, I can't just leave that, switch, go,
Yeah.
do this, come back and start where I left off. It takes me half an hour to get back to where I was. I said, please, okay?
Yeah.
As a parent, these are skills that you got to, there is just no other choice, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be
You have to
in either of
really,
the journeys.
correct. You have to really actually not have the choice. Like
Yeah,
that is, and there's such a
basically,
big
yeah.
difference. There's such a
Exactly.
big
They
difference.
always have the choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just such a big difference with not having it because, and they know, but there have been some pretty powerful movies that I have seen in the past couple of years where the father has been left with just bringing up the children because the mother is like no more, for instance. Okay,
Yes.
this is like extreme case that I'm bringing up.
Yeah.
But it's bizarre to think, to watch like how that person has had to then step up like their game, their role, and be that person. So it's not that they're not able to. It's about what is able to changing or sacrificing or changing in that moment or that scenario or taking that. It's, I don't know how to word it exactly right, but it's about being. It's about knowing that the other person won't step in, right, and do it for you. Whereas in many cases, they know that person would be the mom and she would do it regardless, right?
Anyways, but let's be nice to them and let's talk about the challenges that fathers have faced or do face, right? And I think there is this increased expectation now in society that they have to be an involved parent because also I feel that our generation and maybe this whole millennial generation has gone through so much of therapy because of non-existing fathers. So there is this entire expectation of having a more involved father, right? But I also feel that for them, it's especially when you're in that classic equation where the father is earning or the male is earning and the female is not, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening is that he's got the pressure of earning and providing for the family, but now there is that extra layer of pressure that comes on which says that, okay, but you also have to be an involved father, right? Up until now it was just that, okay, as long as you're earning, you're bringing home food on the table, you're getting in money, you're okay, mother will deal with everything. Now that's changed, has added another layer. And Yadun, we've had conversations about this because he's been in a situation where both of these have worked out, but he's also had a third layer because I am working very hard and building my own business. I'm as good as working a 9 to 6 job, even if it's from home, because my mind is evolved fully there. It's a lot of pressure on us to be involved father, help with the home housework because women are traditionally doing all of it, and also make sure that there is money and food on the table at all times, right? He's like, that's just all of it coming together. And it also goes back that how they have been brought up. A lot of most of the men that we've been married to have been brought up. Yeah, they've been the apple of every mother's child. The girl child did not exist.
Yeah.
Right? So they're used to very different dynamics, right? Now the kids who are coming up now are probably going to be used to a very different dynamic where girls and boys are more similar. But the men that we've been married to have grown up being the apple of most mothers, grandparents, and all that. They are
who've always come home to the basics as something they've never really had to think about. Whereas if you rip that basic carpet out from under their feet, they'll just be like standing there being like I didn't get lunch today in my tiffin carrier. I don't know. And it's funny because like when you do it, and I don't know why I come from this like strange, confused background when it comes to this, because I was telling you that me and Varun never had any house help for the first 8 years of our marriage. Okay. Right. Whereas I actually enjoy cleaning and weird stuff like that, doing the washing and having dogs. I was always with that mentality that if you have a dog, you look it after yourself, you walk it yourself, you take it to the vet yourself, you have these responsibilities. And that's what comes with having a responsibility. That's just how I've been. And I still am like that. I've had a C-section, carrying my child and still feeding my dog, like taking him to the vet. Like, don't ask. I have weird video footage of me in the middle of COVID, sitting with my dog with tick fever, getting a drip. And this is just how I am. And I don't know why, but I just
Mother Teresa.
just doing the stuff myself. I just believe in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just been this. And I think that what has happened now is that because I now have help, I feel like managing the help actually sometimes becomes harder for me because I want it done in a particular certain way rather than doing it myself. It's the idea now is that talking this over like with our partners and finding ways to get things done in a way that is what we truly like and what we truly want. I think that because now we also run our own houses, we have our own ways of doing things that maybe our parents etc did differently and we saw differently. It's about also ending these cycles with ourselves is what I'm very strongly like in favor of. It's about what worked before was maybe working then, which is an answer I'll get all the time. Look at you guys, you're fine. Is like the answer I'll get from earlier generation when you're like trying to change something, whether it's what we eat, whether it's the way we run our house, whether we bring up our children or what we agree with. I think it's all really evolving and changing now into a partnership, I think, with our husband. It's not like the other one only calls the shots, but you are together co-parenting and you are bringing things into the limelight where you take decisions together. And so it should be, because both sides need to and should play different yet the same role in an interesting way. Okay, so I feel like all of this ranting and bringing things together is going to bring us to this idea of how I think we are both definitely for the idea of co-parenting. And here are maybe some of the ideas or strategies that we think that we can do as couples where we both end up sharing the load. Because I think it's important that we share the load, because honestly, having experienced it twice over in such a short span of time, it is a lot of mental load. And even just the decision of what to make for dinner in the moment is, in fact, I have forgotten to order stuff for dinner today. Okay, it is just like a lot, because then you like have everyone hungry. Okay, just giving you an example. And nothing functions when that doesn't function, right? So it's fun also because I saw this idea and I think that I might actually try this. And I don't know what you think about this, but it's this idea of role reversal days in our lives. Okay, so everything that we do, we let our husbands do for that particular day, and we vice versa. So I get a full day of working, which is fine. I have a lot of catching up that I want to do, and vice versa. My husband would have to then decide about what to eat, when to sleep, when to get up, when to play, when to go outside, when to walk the dogs, when to whatever, like all the other role reversal ideas. And I think that's quite a cool game that I feel like I might play with Varun. But yeah, this was an idea that I saw on someone's Instagram as well. I feel like I get a lot of interesting ideas from Instagram. But yeah, honestly, because I think that this would be a great idea for people to understand what we do in the opposites in terms of what's going on in each other's day. Which brings me to the idea, and I think that you're probably better at expanding with this idea of discussing, being able to speak out and express yourself. And I think that's an important one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this role reversal day is the way to do it.
Yeah, I would wonder what it'd be like to be in Yadu's day. I don't know. I don't think I could cope, honestly speaking, because the mental framework with which we both work is so different and make decisions that it would be impossible. I think so for both of us. But I think the one thing that he and I have established really well,
is this more you?
And I'm very
is this
happy
your idea how to do it?
Yeah. As a couple on is setting boundaries, setting to-dos, and being very vocal that this is yours and this is mine. There is no assumption on it, right? Because he's seeing the merit, right? Because there is no confusion. I was like, if you need something done, ask, right? If you want something done, ask, right? And I am all about asking. And I was like, okay, you don't even ask, you got to do this. Simple. We've managed to build that out. Especially, let's say if I've got networking events or I have to go somewhere for work, travel, stuff like that. We manage, he understands, I understand, we do it. Yeah. And again, so once you both are in the mind frame that we are going to co-parent and we're going to do this together, we are going to work, we are going to build and not give up our personal lives and interests just because we have a child in our lives, right? Then communication is what kind of allows you to do that, right? For example, I've started going trekking on Sundays, right? Yeah. It's a early morning start. I get up by 4, I'm out there at 5 and I'm walking till about 9-10. So I told him I really need to do this. Work is very hectic and I need to get out the concrete space and go into nature. So he's cool. I'll manage the mornings. Again, so I also feel women are not the best at asking, right? So we need to get ourselves demand, ask, get it done. organized. This is yours, this is mine. Let's do it. Easy for
Yeah.
you, easy for me, and we all can get to do things that we enjoy. He went to play golf today. I took care of the kids, so it works out. So I definitely, and the same thing I did when for nights post breastfeeding, I said, dude, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this nights.
Yeah.
If you want me to be just be a sloth bear which just wants to bite all day,
does he?
which I don't think
does
you
he do now, or is he still involved?
Just take nights. I said, I'll do the entire day.
Yeah.
You get the whole day off. You got to do nothing. Okay. But just sleep with our child because I can't do that. I'll manage my business. No, he's a lot more involved. Yeah, he's involved. Also, he enjoys it. To be honest, he really enjoys being with Shivaya, but he likes to have his freedom as well. Like the choice thing means not having a choice, I think, is something that women are still held to, because we are the fallback option, right? And we are always at net. So that way, I think that wiring is still there, but there's no doubt that. And also, I think that we as women are just more hands-on, get things done faster, easier, quicker. So we just prefer doing it ourselves.
Oh,
you
so
have to let go of that as well. You take it to another level. So when you want someone else to do something, you got to let them do it at their own pace as well. And that's even harder. Yeah. So
and also, I feel like when people work for themselves,
and on this paternity thing, which I think in India, you only get 2 weeks off, right? So it's tough. For men to be involved.
It's fun because I think more than anything, I keep saying this on every episode that we have together. You and I are so actually differently doing things, experiencing things, yet finding levels of commonality in where we can feed off each other, which is what we really hope that this cast can do for other people, is to just see how the other side is functioning. And then you see that sometimes maybe you're like, okay, you know what? I actually have it okay.
Yeah.
Whereas you sometimes think that it's so damn bad and God, how's everyone doing this? And then you hear like, okay, I would have been tougher if that would be happening to me, or vice versa. I think because sometimes we've been in relationships for such a long time. Like Varun and I have been together since we were 18. I'm turning 40 this month, which is bizarre. We've grown into the people that we are together alongside. And I think that it's important to actually find, for us, I think, to actually sit down and be like, this is the time to discuss how to divide responsibilities. Imagine after this long together, you end up taking each other for granted, which is what I think many couples probably do. They just take it for granted, or they deal with it not very well, which is how I think I do when I let it build up and not ask. And then eventually it's an eruption. It's like a volcano of asking where things just don't work out. But whereas actually designating time as a strategy to be like, this is how to sit down and plan how we can each do what we want to do, but yet do what we need to do, is such a valuable, I think, point to bring up here. Something that, someone here after so long needs to do and re-put into their relationship and life. Thank you, Sensei Sonali. I feel like every time we learn like different ways, or we're reminded of them. I think like you forget, like sometimes you're so stuck in your mundane and the way in which we function, we forget like something so simple can actually change the way we see things. Wrapping up today's episode on Dads on Duty, here's my fierce and fearless take home. I feel like dads, and in general, I think men who are parents, etc., and it's a new role, but I think that your involvement in your kids' childcare is something that is not only just nice to have, but it's crucial. You see these little posts nowadays where they're like, oh, it's dads are doing diapers and stuff, and that's amazing. You know what? You should be doing diapers. Why not? So it's not about, I think it's about occasionally not stepping in and avoiding doing responsibilities that maybe seem tough or are just inconvenient, is what I like to say. But it's actually about fairness. It's about being balanced and not looking at it as like a problem, but like a genuine partnership in parenting. Because parenting is definitely not a one-person show. And I don't think it should be, especially where you suddenly come to the bigger decisions in life and they're all like, the husband has to take this call and decide. And you're just like, why? Like, what has entitled you to take that decision now? It's about building things up, doing things together, sharing the highs and the lows and challenges equally. Like for me to decide whether I need to give like teething medicine to my son because he's teething too much, or should I give it or not? It's like such a big thing where people are like, oh, it's up to me to take that decision. So all the time, it's like these small things, when they add up, really become a massive load. So it's also about realizing that these times that we have with our kids and what they learn is something that they will take forever, and it disappears just like that. So those bonds that you have with your children for fathers is so important at this time. It's equally important in allowing our entire home environment as a family to really thrive. And I think that is what's important if we're all involved with it together. So making this shift together, because I think shared parenting will definitely lead to richer experiences for everyone that's involved in our lives.
Yeah, lovely. There's not a lot that I have to say right over here, but I'm going to go back to what I keep saying in almost every episode is that if your equal partnership in childcare is also unfortunately in our society directly linked to equal partnership on who makes money for running the home. If you are contributing equally, then 150% there should be that equal partnership in childcare as well. I have seen enough instances where women are working, they're equal contributors, if not up to 40% financially, but they're still doing the homework, they're still taking care of the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, and they're still also taking care of the child. That is a completely unbalanced relationship, right? So don't allow yourself to get into that. And if you are, then you need to have a hard look and see how you can figure things out, because ultimately you can, right? Because you've already gone that one step. You've already made yourself financially independent. While there's a lot of us who are not yet earning, right? Who might not even like to. They're very happy taking care of their children and letting the husband bring home work, which is also fine. Whatever you choose to do is what you should do. But even in that sense, kids need their parents, right? Kids need their father as well. So don't think that it is still only your responsibility. So both ways it should be, I think, an equal burden. And it's nice to see that change come. And I've seen a lot of involved fathers now. And I'm really enjoying the journey of involved fathers that I'm seeing around me. So if you've got one, then send us some pictures or hit us up. We'd love to know your story as well. But yeah, thank you for staying fierce and stay fearless.
And that wraps up another episode of Fierce and Fearless. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey.
We hope you're going to walk away with some great insights, feel absolutely inspired, and ready to challenge norms. Come on then, just go and make your mark.
Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on all our latest episodes. And if you loved what you heard today, please leave us a review.
And if you've got questions or you want us to discuss certain topics, just reach out to us. You can send us a message on our social media handles, Zoe Modgill or Feed Smart. We absolutely love hearing from you.
Until next time, stay fierce, stay fearless, and remember, every small step is part of your bigger journey.